9 marks on one question on the topic of iterations, and it's the easiest question ever. We're asked to show the equation has a solution between x equals to 0 and x equals to 1. All I've got to do is substitute my two values of x separately into my equation. Taking when x equals to 0, instead of having x cubed as x is 0, I'm not going to have 0 cubed, plus 7x in algebra means 7 multiplied by x, and that's x is 0, hence I'm going to have 7 times 0, and I've still got negative 5. Substituting into a calculator, that gives us negative 5. Now substituting when x equals to 1, instead of having x cubed, I'm not going to have 1 cubed, plus 7x, I'm going to have 7 now multiplied by 1, and I've still got subtract 5. Substituting to our calculator, that gives us positive 3. As there's a sign change, i.e. one negative and one positive in any order, therefore we know there's a solution lies between x equals to 0 and x equals to 1. Show that the equation can be arranged to give the following. Well, my first step, and with a negative 5 across the right. If you move a term over an equal sign, change your sign. Hence, the opposite of minus 5 is we're going to add 5 to both sides. On the left-hand side, negative 5, add 5 will cancel. Hence, we're just left with x cubed plus 7x on the left. On the right-hand side, 0 add 5 now gives us positive 5. As I've got x cubed and positive 7x, I can factorise out single x. Opening my single bracket, what do I times x to get back to x cubed? I'm missing x squared. What do I times x to get back to positive 7x? I'm missing plus 7. And on the right-hand side, it still equals to positive 5. As I want to get x by itself, I know outside a bracket, the sign is to multiply. So the opposite of multiply by x squared plus 7 is to divide both sides of my equation by x squared plus 7. I know on the left-hand side, x squared plus 7 over x squared plus 7 will cancel. That'll leave us with single x, exactly what I wanted. And on the right-hand side, I've now got 5 over x squared plus 7. Starting with x0 equal to 1, use the iteration formula 3 times to find an estimate for the solution of x cubed plus 7x minus 5 equal to 0. When using an iteration formula, all we've got to remember is the n plus 1 always represents our next value. And the n is always where we're substituting in our previous value. As we're starting with x0, the one up from x0 therefore will be x1. We're always substituting in the right-hand side of our iteration formula. On the top therefore, I'm going to have 5 over, wherever I see xn, I know that's the previous value. And so my previous value was our x0 value, which in this case was 1. As it's xn squared, therefore I'm going to have 1 in brackets squared. And I've still got the plus 7. Substituting into my calculator exactly as given, I press my fraction key, then type 5 on the top, come down. As I want 1 squared, you put the number you're squaring in brackets, and always have the squared outside the brackets, and you've got plus 7. Press equals, then press ST. As I've been asked to do it 3 times. Now I have x1, the one up from x1 will therefore be x2. Again, always substituting into the right-hand side of my iteration formula. I'm going to have in this case 5 over, but where I see xn, remember it's always the previous result. So I'm not substituting 1 anymore. My previous result was my x1 value. In this case, my 0.625. Hence, in brackets, it's going to be 0.625, in brackets, all squared. And I've still got the plus 7. To find our value for x2, we don't need to re-enter our equation. All we need to do is use our arrow key, go back and delete where our previous value was. Delete that and replace that with the answer key. And that will take forward the x1 value of 0.625. Press equals, press ST, and that's our value for x2. Now to find my value of x3, again, I'm always substituting into the right-hand side of my iteration formula. Hence, I'm going to have 5 over, where I see xn, and that's my previous value. So my previous value was x2. This is my 0.67 number. Hence, I'm going to have in brackets my 0.676 number, in brackets all squared, and I've still got the plus 7 on the bottom. Now, substituting into our calculator, we've already programmed it to take the previous value for xn. So all I need to do is press equals, and that's my value for x3. By substituting your answer to part C into x cubed plus 7x minus 5, comment on the accuracy of your estimate for the solution to x cubed plus 7x minus 5 equal to 0. Hence, my answer to part C is this 0.67044 number. And every time I see x, I'm now going to substitute that number in the equation. Your calculator has your answer to part C as its last value. So all you got to do, every time you see x, you're going to click the answer key. As you want x cubed, therefore you're going to have answer to the power of 3. Then you want plus 7x, so plus 7 lots of answer, and you want minus 5 on the end. Press equals, which gives negative 0.00549, which is accurate as the answer is close to 0.